I didn't realize it at the time, but the last time I saw my mom truly smile, really light up, was during a rainy weekend in 1989. We had rented a rundown cottage by a lake in the Catskills. I was 6, and Brianna was still in diapers. Mom let her hair down, and when Dad burned the sausages, she laughed. She looked free, almost weightless. I never forgot it. That memory became something quiet inside me, a private promise. Not a goal but a feeling I hoped to bring back one day. Years later, when I could, I bought land by that same lake. I built a house with wide windows, wood beams, and a wraparound porch where you could hear the water at night. I never said this out loud, but I built it for her, a place to retire, a place where she might let her shoulders relax again. My name is Helen Whitman. I'm 42. I run a small software firm I started in my 30s after leaving a corporate job that made me feel invisible. I'm not married, no kids. People call me driven, cold, efficient, sometimes all three, but I pay for my parents' dental. I send birthday gifts on time. I helped pay off Brianna's student loans for 3 years, and she never knew. Bri, everyone calls her that but me, is 10 years younger. She's bright, charming, always knows the right thing to say. She never stayed at a job long, but people liked her for it, said she was finding her path. Mom used to say I'd found mine early. No one called it brave. Our parents, Frank and Linda, ran a hardware store. They worked hard, honest people, always paid their taxes, but they missed a lot of dinners. I kept the house running. Bri learned how to be loved. Over the last year, I hadn't seen them much. Work kept me in Seattle, and I was extra cautious with Mom after her pneumonia scare in 2021, but I kept in touch. I sent updates, invited them to the lake house. They always said, maybe next month. I figured they were waiting for a quieter time. That house wasn't just a house, it was the one thing I built with no business plan. It was a memory made real. And even when I felt far from the family, I held on to one simple idea. One day, I'd give my mom the keys, and she'd say, "You remembered." That was the story I believed. But stories don't always unfold the way you plan them. One Sunday morning in April, I was having my second cup of coffee and reviewing client reports when my phone buzzed, a Facebook tag from Brianna. The album was called, "Surprising Mom at the Most Beautiful Place to Celebrate 70 Incredible Years." Underneath it, couldn't have asked for a better day with the people who love her most. I opened it, slowly. The first photo was Mom in a pale blue dress, laughing over a cake with pink roses. She was sitting in the wicker chair from my sunroom, the one I had hunted down because it reminded me of her. In the next photo, I saw the porch, my porch, decorated with fairy lights and paper lanterns. Bri stood behind her, grinning like she'd just pulled off the perfect surprise. There was a cello player, the lake sparkled, every detail was mine, the beams, the table, the quartz counters I'd agonized over. Everything except me. I kept scrolling, cousins, neighbors, Bri's friends, Mr. Becker, still in his fishing vest, standing by the fireplace I had designed. People gave toasts, they ate, they lit candles. I wasn't mentioned, not once, not tagged, not even in a caption. I called Bri, no answer. Then a text. "Oh hey, yeah, kind of last minute, didn't think you'd be in town, Mom really needed a lift." It turned out so sweet. I stared at that message until the words blurred, then I called my mother. She picked up quickly. "Helen, so good to hear your voice. You had your birthday at the lake house," I said. Pause. "Oh, yes, Bri arranged everything, she did such a great job. You knew and didn't tell me?" "Well, we figured you were busy with work." Bri said it was last minute. "It was just a little thing." 40 people and catering isn't a little thing, Mom. It wasn't about the size, it was the feeling. Bri made it special. It was my house. Another pause, longer this time. "Well, you're not there often, sweetheart." Bri coordinated everything, I just showed up and smiled. I sat there in silence, then she added, brightly, "You've never really liked big gatherings, anyway." "I care when I'm erased." "Oh Helen, don't be dramatic, it was just a party." That night, I opened a bottle of wine I'd bought in Florence, one I'd saved for this exact occasion. I had planned to toast with Mom. Instead, I drank 2 glasses alone on the back deck and poured the rest down the sink. Later, Bri posted more photos. In one, Mom wore the shawl I gave her last Christmas. The caption read, "She's never felt more loved." I didn't reply to Bri after that. There wasn't a single sentence I could write that didn't feel small or mean. Instead, I pulled out an old college notebook, plain, lined pages. I started writing down what I remembered. Winter, 1996. I was 13, both mom and dad had the flu. I made soup, did laundry, called in sick for dad. Bree, just 3, cried for a bedtime story. So I recorded my voice reading hers on cassette, left it by her pillow. 2008. She missed a final and nearly lost her scholarship. I drove 6 hours overnight to talk to her dean. She passed. She never asked how, I never told her. Back in 2015, when Dad's hardware store was about to shut down, I quietly wired money into their account. Mom thought it was a tax refund. Dad said it must have been luck. They never asked. I started writing down every quiet thing I'd done, and then I stopped, not because I was finished, but because I realized most of it was never meant to be seen. That was the real issue. I had spent my life believing that doing the right thing didn't need an audience. But that belief didn't hold up anymore. Bree wasn't cruel, she was just good at being visible. She knew how to move through the world in a way that drew attention like a magnet. She gave hugs where cameras could catch them. She left sweet notes on pillows. She remembered birthdays and made everything sparkle. I built things behind walls. A week after the party, I called the property manager for the lake house. I asked for a deep clean and a damage report. She hesitated. I thought you were okay with the event, she said. Bree said it was a family gathering you approved. She told you that? Yes, ma'am, said everything was arranged. I never would have allowed a party otherwise. There were about 40 guests, catered food. Someone spilled red wine in the sunroom. We tried to clean it, but when the photos came in, I studied them like evidence. My pale rug stained deep maroon, barely hidden under a throw, scratches along the hallway floor, a chipped edge on the kitchen island I'd custom ordered from reclaimed oak. It wasn't just wear and tear. It was permission, taken without asking. So I invited them to dinner. Just a message in the family group chat. Would love to see you all for dinner next Saturday. I'll bring food, your place at 6. No one asked why, no one declined. I arrived with lasagna, salad, and a bottle of wine. None of it got touched. The house smelled like lemon cleaner. Bree was curled on the couch in leggings and a sweatshirt that said good vibes only. Frank was flipping through the muted TV. Linda was folding napkins at the table. No one mentioned the party. We got through salad before I said, "Can we turn off the TV? There's something I'd like to talk about." Frank looked surprised but grabbed the remote. Silence settled in. I opened my laptop. "I want to show you something." First, a photo of the wine stain. Then, the hallway scratches. Then, the chip in the island. I clicked slowly, letting each image linger. These are from the house, after the party. Bree shifted on the couch. "Okay, it's just a little damage, Helen. It was a celebration. You didn't ask. It was Mom's birthday, you were probably working." I didn't answer, just moved to the next slide, the screenshot of her Facebook post. The one that read, "Couldn't have asked for a better day with the people who love her most." Linda put her fork down. "It was a beautiful day," she said. "Everyone came together. Bree made it happen." "And you didn't think to invite me?" I asked. "We figured you were busy," Frank said. "You've been gone a lot. You didn't forget. You decided." Bree crossed her arms. "You're acting like this was some huge betrayal. It was just a party. We didn't want to stress you out." "Better for who?" "I don't know, Helen. You always have rules, plans, deadlines. You built this perfect house, then disappeared into work. We filled it, for one day." I looked at her. "You used my silence as permission." The room went quiet. Frank cleared his throat. "So what now? You want an apology? Want us to replace a couch?" "Yes," I said, "I do." Bree laughed in disbelief. "You're invoicing your own family?" "I'm holding you accountable, for the damage, and for using something I built without my consent. If I had done this to either of you, you wouldn't let it slide." Linda tried to soften it. "Sweetheart, this isn't a business, this is family." "No," I said, "it's both." They blinked. "I built that house for Mom. Every part of it was for her. And then you used it for a party I wasn't invited to. You rewrote the story, and you used my name to do it." Bree opened her mouth, then closed it. I shut the laptop. "You don't have to agree," I said, "but you do have to understand this. From now on, if you want to use the house, you ask. If you break something, you fix it. If I'm part of this family, I get to be in the room. Not just the bank account. No one said a word. The lasagna sat cold on the table. Outside, a wind chime rattled against the porch beam. Finally, Frank said, maybe we could have handled it differently, but this feels harsh. So did being erased, I said. I gathered my things. At the door, I paused. You didn't forget me, you left me out. I won't let it happen again. The next morning, I sent an email, 3 attachments. A PDF invoice. A property use agreement. A side-by-side of pre- and post-event photos. The invoice totaled $46,084. Cleaning, upholstery repair, floor restoration, no markup, just facts. The usage policy was simple. Written request, 2 weeks in advance. $1,000 refundable damage deposit. Before and after photos. Signed liability waiver for all guests. The note read, going forward, please use these guidelines if you'd like access to the lake house. I'm always happy to share what I built, but not without respect. An hour later, Bree posted to Instagram. A photo of mom holding a framed print from the party. Caption, some people forget what love looks like when they chase money, we didn't. She didn't tag me. She didn't have to. That evening, Frank called. He sounded tired, not angry. Was all that really necessary? I think so. You're turning this into something it doesn't have to be. No, Dad, I'm turning it into what it already was. There was a pause. Then, you've always been particular. And you've always let her act like she owned things she didn't pay for. He sighed. I know you've done a lot. I just hate seeing this family so divided. So did I. Until I realized I was the only one holding the pieces together. That night, Bree finally replied. You really think this makes you look strong? I didn't respond. The next morning, I changed the lake house's smart lock to restricted access. I didn't block anyone. I didn't change the locks. I just made the door ask questions first. It was almost a month before they came. Frank texted. We're coming up Saturday, if that's okay. No agenda, just us. I said yes. That morning, I cleaned a house that wasn't messy. They arrived just after noon. Linda brought lemon bars in an old Tupperware container, the same kind she used when I was a kid. Frank carried a folding chair. I offered coffee. We didn't say much at first. Linda wandered the house. She stopped in the sunroom. Her fingers traced the edge of the armrest, where the wine stain had been. You kept the chimes, she said quietly. They sound better in the wind than they do in theory. We sat, the 3 of us. The lake was still, gray, the kind of still that sits in your chest. Finally, Frank said, I think we got used to you being the one who handled everything. I did handle everything. He nodded, slowly. I guess we thought that meant you didn't need anything in return. Linda looked down at her hands. I didn't realize how much it cost you to be that capable. I didn't speak. Instead, I opened a drawer and took out an old photo, me at 13, holding a box mix birthday cake, one arm wrapped around Mom's shoulder. Just the 2 of us. Linda took the photo, looked at it for a long time. I forgot this day, she said. I didn't. The silence that followed wasn't empty. It was full, with everything we hadn't known how to say. At the door, Frank turned back. You still want this place to be hers someday? I looked at the porch. The wind had picked up. The chimes answered for me. Bree never apologized, not in words. But 2 weeks later, I got a Zelle notification. $46,084. No subject, no message. Just the number. I stared at it before I hit accept. A few days later, I hosted brunch at the lake house. Just Frank, Linda, and me. Eggs, fruit, muffins, nothing fancy. No candles, no toasts, no hashtags. I set 4 places, only 3 were filled. The 4th stayed empty. I didn't say anything, neither did they. It wasn't a punishment. It wasn't a statement. It was just space, left open for someone who had once decided I didn't belong in my own home. After the plates were cleared, Linda stood by the window, looking out at the water. It really is beautiful here. I nodded. She turned to me. You didn't have to invite us. I know. Outside, the trees rustled gently. The chimes tapped softly against the beam. One note, then another, Then stillness. I'm not asking you to take my side. But sometimes I remember that photo, the birthday cake, my mother's smile, my house, and my absence. No one crossed my name out. They just never wrote it in. Sometimes the deepest hurt isn't what's said. It's what's quietly decided without you. No slammed doors, no shouting. Just a seat. You built the room. You opened it. And they filled it, without you. If you've ever been the one who gave quietly, if you've ever realized the family story didn't include your name, then maybe you know what it feels like to be erased, gently, politely, with a smile. I'm not asking for comments or justifications. Just this. What's one word you wish they'd said to you? One word you waited for. One word you still hear, even in the silence. Leave it below. No details. No judgment. Just the word.